wanted to come out today because this is the new technology that's going to be going into a lot of the classrooms in the district. Worked really closely with Mark on this, and I just want to kind of come out and show a preview and also a demonstration of the equipment. First, kind of the agenda for the day is I'm going to go over everything on the panel without having my computer hooked up. I'm going to be using the Android operating system that's built into the panel, and then I'm going to show some features with having my computer hooked up, and then just showing you how that would work. And then at the very end, I'm going to go over some of the new software features of SLS, so the Smart Learning Suite, and SLS Online, which is Smart Learning Suite Online. And I also will get you guys all logged into that today as well, so you have access to that. And then at the end, it will kind of be some time for Q&A. Does that sound good?
Great.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so this is the 7275 SmartPanel. This is a 75-inch. It looks very similar to your old SmartBoards, but just kind of newer, shiny, right? All in one solution. There's no projector. You just plug it in, and then there's a power switch on the back. Otherwise, right here, you can also power it off. It goes into the sleep mode, and then you can turn it back on. Volume control here would be up and down. They are off. They're not charging, but then when they're on here, they charge. So my suggestion to you guys, when you have these in your classroom, is when you leave for the day, just make sure the pens are on the panel, because they'll be charging overnight and such. So this is the whiteboarding. So the bottom module is kind of a gateway for the teachers. It's tools for their success and tools that they can use in the classroom. So the first one is the whiteboarding app. Kind of similar to your old SmartBoards and the whiteboarding feature. I can just kind of get up and start writing. And you'll see that whatever pen I pick up, it will write in that color. But then I'm going to show you one other feature that's very neat about what this can do. In the left-hand corner over here, left side, you can, there's the primary colors, but then if you select the lower button, you can get the entire color wheel. And then you can make any pen that color. Another thing I like to show, because the SmartPanel is the only panel on the market that has called simultaneous tool differentiation. And what that means is I can have students, say I have two students up here writing, I could have they can have 4 different colors right at the same time. Every other panel in the market, whatever one pen is writing in, all the pens have to write in that same color. So this is important for elementary kids when they're learning colors, and then it's also important for art or those creative art centers where the colors are very important. So to switch, and then you can also switch the thickness of the pen as well. So I can have it be very fine, medium, and then also very thick. So depending on how large you want the annotations in your writing, you can do that as well. Erasing is dependent upon the size of my hand. So if I'm a little kiddo, it'll be very small. My hand, you see how it gradually gets bigger. And then I can just kind of go in depth. If you want, it's an infinite whiteboard. So it's continuous writing space. As you see at the bottom, it's continuing. And then everything you do in the panel will automatically save to the panel. So I'll just, Germantown, we'll just do GSD. And then if I save it, and then if I go back here, it'll show me what I saved, the date and the time. And then you can also do it by recent or monthly as well. If we didn't want to save our work, if I didn't want to save it, can you guys see? Sorry, this is just
what did you hit over on the side?
Oh, yes, the kind of 6 little icons. They look like little note sheets. Put that, and if we didn't want to save this, I could press the delete button here. I could also take my work that was saved onto the panel and export it to a USB. That's really nice. So if you didn't, this is all about untethering, right? So I'm not using my computer at all right now. If I didn't want to have my computer plugged in, I could take the data that I did on the board with my students and export to USB, or we could also wirelessly send it to SLS Online, which I will be showing later. Any questions so far?
You said it was infinite?
Yes.
But when you have to go back, is there an easier way to erase all of it at one time if you don't want to save it? So you don't have to go back and like erase that slide?
Yes, if you just like went over here, so say, okay, so say I went to one page and I didn't save, didn't erase it all, you can go in here. So right now it's deselected. You just wanted to get rid of all that work.
Yeah.
You just go in here, you would select this, and you would click the little trash icon up here. And then it would just delete all of that work.
Even if I didn't save that panel.
Correct, it automatically saves,
Oh, it
so that if you
does.
don't wanna
Okay.
save it, then you would just go in and you could delete it. The reason they automatically save is a lot of times teachers will forget, and then it's like all that lost work, and they'd rather have them just go in here and delete it if need be, if it's something you don't need.
Cool.
Okay, Mark, did you have a question?
No.
Okay, all right. Sounds good, and then if you wanted to add a new page, you could just go here where I added this little plus sign, or you can also go here, and then it will start a new page for you. This is a little QR reader in the lower right-hand corner, and a lot of people think that any QR reader that's downloaded on your iPad or tablet, you can just go up and scan, and I get asked a lot of times, oh, Lise, I really don't want a student to come up and start scanning this. You have to have the SmartCap app. So typically, and this is to have control of the panel, typically I usually say just to have teachers have this on a tablet or an iPad, and the reason is so you can take control of the panel from a distance, so there's two-way communication, and I'm gonna show this and why this is important. So I'm coming up here, I'm connected to the internet wirelessly. You'll see that the panel is connected to a tablet or another device, and I now have control of the panel, and so I can walk back here and I can annotate on top of the panel. Now, if someone could do me a favor and go up to the front of the board and start either writing a math problem or anything that they'd like to write, that would be great. Feel free. Don't all jump at once. This is the reason why I like to show this.
So my, yeah, the next gives.
Okay, so I might be back here working with Robin on some of her work while you're up there, and I don't necessarily want to have to walk all the way up there if I need to correct you or guide you with something, so I can annotate on top of what you did. Why this is so important is when there's one-to-one devices, you need to come whole group, and you also need it to be two-way interaction. So as the students are working individually on their devices, I can also have students up at the front of the panel and also helping them, but not having to go all the way up here. So it's untethering me from the front of the classroom. I can also, through the SmartCap app, invite students to join our lesson that is up here through sending out a URL link, and also sending a screenshot and sending it either Google, like Gmail, or whatever email platform you guys are using here. Does that make sense? Okay. And then I also wanted to show, I can also erase the work as well. So you can annotate in red and black, and you can also erase, and then take a screenshot and then send that URL and invite students to join up here. And you'll always know that you're connected if this is green. I'm going to disconnect, and then that's going to become red. And so I'm no longer connected to the panel, I'm no longer having control of the panel. Any questions on that? Yes.
I did that, and mine was such a delay from my
Okay.
phone to the tablet. Is there a way to connect it so it's faster? Because
So-
yours was, there's a lag, but not
Sure.
huge.
It's
I might not
dependent
do it like
upon,
this, and then it would go,
yep, it's dependent upon a network. It's
Okay.
dependent on the wireless connection. So it will be as strong as how strong your network is. Do you have a hotspot or an access point in your classroom? Okay. Typically, it's dependent upon how strong the network is.
okay.
So I'll work with Mark on that. We have a couple other network things to work on that we'll get going on that.
Okay.
Okay. That's a good question though, because some people think it's like embedded in the panel, and they're like, oh, is it something to do with the panel or my device? It's all running over the network through the wireless connection.
Right.
Yep, okay. Okay, so that is the first one, whiteboarding. Now we're going to go into Player. Player is the second one. Player is where all of the teachers' lessons will be stored. And so they would store them on here, on the panel, if they didn't want to have their computer plugged in. Now, with Smart Notebook lessons, you can upload the notebook lessons to the panel, but you cannot create. You can run them, and you'll have all the animations and the features, but you cannot create from a basic lesson. So if you're going to be doing creation from like a lesson, a more complex, intricate, bringing those animations and those slide box and those magic pens, you would want to use your computer with the Smart Notebook on there. So these were lessons that were already put onto the panel by date, and then you can also sort by name. You can also search. So goal is that there would be hundreds of lessons in here, and then you could search by like the name of the lesson. So if we were to have one on here called just Science 101, and then I would search for Science 101, and if it was there, it would come up. This feature is really important as well. So when I was explaining how you can share things to and from the panel, besides sending it, exporting it through USB or plugging it in USB and opening it up that way, you can also on your within your notebook software go to File and then go to Share, and then you can select this smartboard. You would select mobile, and then a code would generate for you, and then you would type in that code, and then you could wirelessly send your lessons from Smart Notebook software to the panel. Why that is important or why that's beneficial is, say you're sick. Say, and it just happens, you get sick from the kids, you're home, you didn't have that much time to prepare, but you had your lessons already created for the next day. How do I get those to that cell? Because I can't go to school, I'm sick. You could wirelessly send your lessons from home, as long as you're connected to the internet, to here, and do the code X8BJ. And then that lesson would wirelessly send to this panel, and then your sub would have everything they would need on this panel for the day when you're gone. Any questions on that?
How did you get that code to come up?
Great, so it automatically generates. It will automatically generate every couple minutes. So it just auto-populated, and then that code changes, and the reason that code changes is so someone can't just like come in and like hijack the whole network, and that's why the code like regenerates every couple minutes. Okay? So once again, I went here, the second icon, and it says to access your files on the SmartBoard, and then so this is how you would wirelessly send your lessons to the panel from your Smart Notebook software on your computer. Does that make sense?
If you didn't have your computer home, obviously you have to have your computer home. I can take some of my old SmartBook notebook things.
Or the other thing is, like I said, you could have hundreds of lessons in here, right?
Yeah.
And there's another way. There's also SLS Online, which I'm going to get to too. That's another way you'll be able to access your lesson plans. So there's a couple different ways that you can do this. Or like I said, you could wirelessly send all your lessons to the panel, or get all your lessons on the panel, so then they're always there. And then you could have hundreds in here, and then you would just search by the lessons that you're going to teach with, or look by date or name. Okay? If you had a USB file plugged in, which I don't, but if I had it plugged in a USB with a flash drive, I could also put USB, and then all the things on my USB would populate as well, show up on here. Okay. All right, let's go to browser. The browser is a Chromium-based browser. So what that means is it's just a little bit more basic browser, but you are able to access anything that the network will allow you to. So right now I'm on the Chromium-based browser. I just typed in Germantown School District, so I'm up on your school page. What I wanted to show you some features in here is, as we have the web page open, so the URL open, you are able to annotate on top of your URLs. You can do the 4 primary colors of the pens, or remember earlier when I showed you over here, if you wanted to select different things, you can select different colors of what you would want to highlight in as well. I'll do a color that isn't in a pen. Oh, that's kind of some of your colors, but going like that. And so as you'll notice, the screen kind of freezes. It's because when you annotate over pages in a URL or a web page, it becomes a screen overlay. And so it comes a screen overlay, and it kind of freezes what you're doing. If you want to save there's a green box in the upper right hand corner. If you want to save these, I could go to save or discard or cancel, like if you accidentally press that, or if a student did. So we're going to go to save, and then those annotations will go away, and then I can continue moving on to the next page of what I have open. If a video is playing, you can also write on top of the video. It will just stop what it's doing. But if, say you're showing a video of a diagram of something, you can pause it and then annotate. Yes?
Does it save what's the URL that's on there plus your annotations?
Correct. I'll show you. So then we would go back here. We would go into whiteboard, because this is where all the storage of the panel is. So I would go down here, and from 1010, 433, I then click it, and it takes me back, and it has all the annotations saved. And then if you wanted to continue teaching, you can also continue writing, and your previous annotations will stay. Okay. That was a great question. go back. This is input recognition. So what I did is at the bottom, next to a browser, it's input. And it kind of looks like an HDMI, piece of end of an HDMI port. And this will show me what I have plugged in where. The reason I really like this feature is because, you know, teachers, you have so many different tools that you use in the classroom. You know, you have your computer, you might have a Chromebook, you know, desktop computer, laptop, tablet, document camera, and you might forget what you have plugged in where. And so this is really nice. This will show you an image of what you have plugged in where to the panel. I taught a lot using a document camera and a laptop. So this is my laptop, so I can click it. I can see this is my laptop. It takes me directly to my laptop. And then I can open it up, and then I have full touch of everything. This is an event we have coming up next Tuesday. I have full touch of everything as well up here. So it takes me to my computer, and then I have full touch. That would be one input. Now, if we were to go back to input, and you know, maybe I had my document camera plugged into HDMI 2, the image of what you have showing of your document camera will show up right here. So you won't get confused of where you need to go. It's just, it saves time, it's ease of use, and then DisplayPort, and then VGA. VGA, you'd probably be using it, maybe you have an older document camera, that's VGA. Depending upon, but I believe you guys have the Epsons, I believe those are HDMI. So you would probably go to HDMI 2 because your computer would be plugged into HDMI 1. But if you forgot, it'll show you an image of what's plugged in there. Any questions on that? Okay, so that's input. The next icon is screen sharing. Kind of looks like the large panel with like wireless. And so let's go back. So I am connected, I have my hotspot, I'm in mobile. So I'm gonna go in here, and then we're gonna go to screen sharing. And I'm gonna select mobile. And then I'm gonna go down here. And I'm sharing my screen. So this is my personal cell phone. That's my little puppy Melly. She's 1 now, so she's not quite as small. But what I wanted to show you on here, same thing as before. Anything you have open, you can annotate on top of, which is very, very nice. It is a screen overlay, and I can change the colors I want to do. Why this is important is if you have student devices that you want to share the screen to, or if you have another teacher, you're collaborating with some other teachers in the district or in your school, you can work together and you can share your screen so you're not huddling over a very small screen during collaboration. And it's just really powerful to share with people's work. Or if there's an algebraic equation and there's 3 ways to solve it, you ask the students to show the different ways, and then you can project 2 images up at the same time. I'm just showing one right now. Yes?
You mentioned you had your own hotspot on your own personal phone. What would you recommend for teachers when they're bringing their own devices into a school setting, you know, connecting to what network?
You would have to work with your network people.
Okay.
Because unfortunately, that's by SMART. It's dictated by SMART and the Android operating system that's built into the panel. It requires the devices and the panel to be on the same network.
Right. Okay.
Okay?
Sure.
But I know, because I get asked that a lot. I keep telling SMART that it'd be nice to change that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping in time they will, but as of right now, the device and the panel has to be on the same network.
Correct. So probably the best recommendation at this point is just using district devices.
Yep. And just for today, that's why I just use, because I have everything on my phone and my computer and on here, so that's why I'm using my hotspot that I usually use for demos. So, great question, Robin. And then, same thing. I can save my annotations or I can discard them. So I'm going to discard them, and then it would go away. And I'm going to also stop mirroring. So I go here and I stop mirroring. Okay. All right. Has anyone done screen sharing yet? No. Okay. I was just curious, because right now with this version, it's just 1 screen at a time, but the new version, it's 2. So 2 screens would show up. But what we could do is we could get another panel, and I could show you how all of that works, so you guys feel confident when I leave today. And then here is settings. This is just kind of network settings of the panel and just kind of other settings, the Wi-Fi, the status launcher. It would, if I can select or deselect my icons, I usually say keep your icons because it's gateways, it's tools to make it easy for you guys to go to those places. Here's Smart Whiteboard. Here I can choose. I always have this on, so it automatically saves. It automatically will recognize logins and things, but you can turn that off if you want to. I typically recommend keep it on in case you didn't mean to delete something or you wanted it to save and it didn't. Here's screen share. Then there's display. You can control the brightness and the contrast here. I usually like it really bright. And then contrast is just kind of what you're gonna get in that resolution. So I'll just say cancel because it was on. And then audio, balance, bass, treble, all the built-in speakers, you can turn those on or off. The speakers are very loud. I'll play a video before I go just to show you. And then date and time, language. So say this is going into a language room, language arts room, you could change it to, there's a ton of different languages. I'm not gonna mess around with it because in case I click it and I can't get back. And then country, diagnostics, security, which really you guys might need to know, and then auto update. In regards to updates, kind of what we just talked about, how you guys have a newer update, this one doesn't quite have it yet. Those are sent out over the air. What that means, they're sent out wirelessly through the internet, and the panel needs to be on in order to get those updates. The updates are usually sent out about once a month, and they're over the internet, so the panel just needs to be on, and they're usually done between 1 and 4 in the morning, because they figure no one will be teaching at that time or in their classroom needing to get on the panel. Questions on that?
Is there a way to turn, I know I had this happened, when I went to go use it in the library, and I turned it on and an update, had already happened. I got a complete green screen. I could not get the green screen off, and I did contact Smart too to figure out if there was a way to turn off the auto updates and then just do the update by choice. Is there?
So if you don't have it on, what you could do is to check if you need an update or not, you would go down here, you'd go to auto update, and then you could say ready to apply update.
Okay.
It will say if you are not up to date, and you can select it.
So we could turn off the auto update and then go there. So that would be the area to do that.
Correct. Okay. Yeah, that's a great question, Robin. Okay. Okay, so now I'm gonna show you some of the software. If you have a device, feel free to take it out, like a personal device, because I'm gonna have you guys participate in some activities with me. Has anyone logged into SLS Online yet? Okay. Okay, so. Perfect. Okay, so Smart now has 4 components of their software. There is, of their Smart Learning Suite, there's Smart Notebook, which is kind of more so like your traditional notebook that you guys are used to with the gadgets and gizmos and all of those tools that you can use. Flash Adobe went away, and so they've added some tools to allocate for some of those features that you guys really liked in the classroom. Then there's Lab, which is Lesson Activity Builder, which was created for pre-made templates for teachers to use and tweak or adjust in less than 5 minutes. So you're not starting a lesson from scratch and having it super time consuming with all those animations, and I'm gonna show you a lot of those today. And then there's Response, which is kind of like a check mark, and it looks like an assessment. And those are where you can create assessments and push them out wirelessly, and the students can answer them through their devices, and they can be summative and formative. That's what it is, right?
Yep.
Sorry, I always mix them up, teaching, and I still do. And then there's also AMP. They're converting AMP right now, and I forget what the new name is, but we'll get to that as I go through here. So this is Smart Learning Suite Online. What I would love for everyone to do, so they can, who has a computer? No one? Okay. Well, here, you know what I'm gonna do though? I'm at least going to give you the web page, so you guys can write down that URL, and then when you get back, or when you have time, you can log in here, you can get set up in here, and you can start playing around with it after today, and so you can start creating some stuff. So the web URL that you would go to, I'm gonna go here, because this is where you would sign in, and you would just sign in with your Google account. It's just loading. You would go to suite.smarttech.com. Suite.smarttech.com/login. And it might auto take me to my page because I already signed in, but that's where you would go. Suite.smarttech.com/login. And for you guys, with not having gone in there before, you would say new user, and then you would go to sign in with Google. So here, let me sign out again so I can show you kind of what this looks like. I'm a really visual person, so I like to show this. So you would go here, and then you could either go to sign in or sign up for free. So you guys would click the sign up for free, and then it would prompt you to sign in with your Google account or your Microsoft account. And then you would select that, and then you would type in your email account, and then you would type in your password, and then that would create your SLS online account. And if you have a computer, feel free to. So, I'm gonna sign myself in again. Okay, so this is my homepage of SLS Online. Now, I like to show SLS Online because the new features are amazing, and there's a lot that you can do in a short amount of time to have an engagement and very interactive lessons with your students. So this is kind of my homepage. Here's my name, Elise Selvig. So if I was a teacher, this is my class ID, the 56045. This number is important for when you guys join my lessons. That's a number code you're going to enter, because a lot of these are web-based that you can join. And then these are kind of previous lessons that I've done in my demos. So these are all the ones I've done in my demos since SLS Online came out. Here I can rename my class or reset the class ID or edit the class banner. So there's things you can do to customize. And then up here is just kind of the home, help, what's new, intro. So if later you guys forget some of the things I showed you, go to like welcome intro. It'll kind of show you some things. And then request a feature, and then join our educators. This right here, this little icon, that's Smart Ink. You guys are probably familiar with that. So it's the Smart Ink tool. And this is where I go to create new lessons. So I'm going to create a lesson. So I can start with a file I already have. So when you were asking me, okay, what if I don't have my computer at home, or what if I don't have my school computer, but I have some lessons at home on my personal device, or you could go from your computer at home, go to SLS Online, click here, and you could upload a file, Smart Notebook, PDF, or PPT, and it would save into SLS Online. What Smart is trying to do, it's trying to get you away from having to have your software on your computer unless you're creating from scratch. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. And then up here, it start with an activity or start with an assessment. We are going to start with an activity. So I'm going to click here. These are all of the different activities that are available. You'll notice that some of them have devices required. So Monster Quiz, Response to, and Shout It Out require devices. So that means for the students to respond, they would need a device in their hand. Otherwise, if they don't have that, it would be an activity for up at the front of the classroom, either during the station or during an activity where you split students up on what they're doing. So we're gonna start with Shout It Out. It can be randomized or categories, and I can do how many per student, and I'm gonna do 1, and I'm gonna do text instead of images, and I'm going to hide student names, and I'm going to finish. So it's creating the activity, and then it's gonna prompt you guys to do something, and then I'm gonna be able to see your responses up here. Shout It Out is a great, I used to do KWL charts a lot teaching, because I taught kindergarten in first grade, so I really had to know the student's background before I would start an activity. And so instead of doing KWL charts, like I wish I had this, because it was such a quick way for them to respond and not be scared to respond, and like right up at the front of the room, because I can hide the student names as well. This I would say is more an informal assessment, but just getting an idea of prior knowledge, and then you would do it at the end just to kind of see. It's just loading.
So the device, you mean to a computer be a Chromebook that they have.
It could be, yep, it could be any device as long as it has access to the web, a wireless internet connection. So we're gonna open it up. Okay. So, if you guys could go to hellosmart.com, is there a glare from this light?
Yeah, it's just the sun coming.
I know, I'm trying to, is that better?
We can see just fine.
You guys can
Fine.
see?
It's just your eyes.
Okay. Just being blinded here. So go to hellosmart.com and then type in the code, it'll say join Elise Selvig, and then type in the code 56045. And then I'll be able to see students as they connect.
Not getting it.
Actually took me back to the suite, Smart Learning Suite. Is that because I was logged in?
Oh, yes,
as-
we can do it in an incognito page.
Okay.
So I should log out of my?
No, so we'll just go here.
I don't know if our
There.
student devices.
And then
Chromebooks
up
can
in
do
the
it.
upper right hand corner, or where the three dots are, I want you to do an incognito page. New incognito window, please. And then third down, new incognito, and then go to there, please.
Our kids'
When you go
devices.
to incognito,
Kids' devices can't do that.
they can't.
Nope. That's
Okay,
disabled.
That wouldn't matter because they wouldn't be having a
They
teacher
wouldn't be
account.
logged
It's
in.
more so I want them to do incognito, so then they're not thinking that they're a student. Does
Okay.
that make sense?
We
Okay.
can do this.
So the class ID is the 56045.
So if you can, sorry. So you go in here, and then in the upper right hand corner where those three dots are, you're going to do, you can't do, okay, so Chromebooks must not have an incognito. It automatically took you to your teacher page. Let's sign you out. Let me see if I can get this to go. Join our class,
I'll let you guys join.
class ID. So,
Easy enough.
I think it is 56, yeah. Oh, okay, perfect. And then you can type in your name and then join. There's another, I just figured out there's another way to do it too. Were you guys able to get in? Perfect. Amy, Don, awesome. I try to make it a little engaging and not, I'm just standing up here talking the whole time. We'll have some fun once I get into these activities. Okay, Amy, Don, Joe, Tiffany, awesome. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's everyone, right?
That kind of looks like a Kahoot.
It's similar to Kahoot. I get this all the time. Robin, are you connected or no?
No, I'm.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, I'm going to start it. My question to you is going to be, what are your favorite features of the panel so far? And so I'm going to prompt you to respond. It'll prompt you to give a response, and then they'll show up here. If you had to pick one feature, so your favorite feature of the panel, and if you could share it with me, that would be great.
That is right.
Brightness control, great. I've never heard that one. There, now try. Oh, there you go, perfect. Is it kind of hard for you guys to read that in the back?
Yes.
What about now? Okay.
That can be my new favorite feature.
Really, really nice. I requested this on a lot of my district's behalf. The responses are great, but if the kids can't read them from a distance, or you can't collaborate and talk about them, then they're gonna all have to come up. So, and I just select out. So here are the features. So I have 3, I'm just waiting on one more. Perfect, okay. So I know I have 4 students, so I know all my students have responded. That's another way too I can see. And then there's a way I can see whose responses are, but the students would never see that. The reason I hide the student names is so students don't feel that they feel more welcome to share, and that they're not gonna be called out, or if their answer is wrong. I always like to do that. So let's go through these. Ability to go on the net without computer attached. More than one student can write on the SmartBoard. Yeah. Brightness control. And then the whiteboard feature and how it saves the work. Awesome. This is great feedback for me. So I'm gonna save this. So this activity is called Shout It Out. Another one,
Is that on, so in there, if I go into my learning, I can look for shout it outs and there's a template already and then.
everything, you can use, you just prompt the question to the students.
Okay.
And then they respond. So before you did it, you would just ask them the question and then they could give their answers. And you can allow multiple responses per student, but just for time purposes, and I wanna be respectful of your time, I only allowed one response. I also like categorized. So within Shout It Out, you could allow more than one response, and then the students would maybe have to come up and sort the answers into the categories that you asked them to submit. Okay? Is that what your question was?
Well, how, you created that. Yeah.
Correct, yep, so I'll show you again where it went. Okay, so I'm in my home base, so here, I'll go to the very beginning, okay? So I'm in my home base, and then I'll do it up here. I go in here, create a lesson, so I can start with a file I already created, or I can start with an activity or an assessment. I went to an activity, which is lab, lesson activity builder, and then here are all of the different activities you could do, and Shout It Out is down here. Yep, so.
And then you come up with a number, I mean, we used your number, but
It comes up with.
It generates one.
It would generate
You have your own number in SLS Online. So under
Okay.
your name, it's that class ID, that is your class ID.
okay,
And that is the number that you would have. Typically what I suggest to teachers is they print that off somewhere and they put it up in their room. So when those students walk into that classroom, they know that that's the code they're gonna be using in that classroom that hour, okay? So these are the different activities. I'm not gonna go through them all, but feel free to play around there. They're all pre-created templates like that where you can just enter in the information in less than 5 minutes, which is so nice. There's fill in the blanks, flip out, label reveal, match them up, memory match, monster quiz, rank order, response 2, which is that assessment version, so that you can access it here and then you can also access it in another area. Shout It Out that we just did, speed up and super sort. We're gonna do one more because I love this one and I think it's very interactive. So we're gonna do true or false. I'm just creating this. This is how quickly I can create this. I don't have them pre-created because I want you guys to see how easy it is for me to do this. So, let's just say, I'm just gonna do it on fruit. I did grapes, apples, lemon, what are some other fruits?
banana.
Thanks. Okay, so I just created this that quickly, and I'm gonna allow 15 seconds per student, and I'm gonna say finish, so I'm adding the activity. You could type in a response on the panel, it's much quicker from my computer, but you could type it and use the, like the keyboard on the panel, or if you had a wireless mic too, or a wireless keyboard, I'm sorry. Okay, so we're gonna open this up. And I'm gonna have you guys join again. I'm gonna turn the volume up on this one because there is volume on this. And then last one I'll show you is response and just how you would create a response. Now a lot of the activities, these activities will auto-populate a response, which is really, really nice because it just saves you time. And I'll kind of talk about that a little bit when we get to the response section. It's just loading.
How if, people utilize not only the display, but all of these features, cause we also use Google Classroom, Google
Sure.
Sites. How does that all kind of work together?
This
All
would,
those
so you're signing in with your Google account,
Mhm.
so it's all web-based through the Google Cloud, Smart Partner with Cloud. But Smart software is not embedded into Google,
Right.
so they are separate. But it is all the storage and everything you're doing on the web is through Google.
Right.
So they partnered with that platform and that you're signing in with your Google account. I think more will be to come, but for right now, this is where they're at. But I definitely think it's very promising that more will be to come because they are partnering with Google and getting into SLS Online, and all of their storage is through the Google Cloud, and this is where we're at now.
Sure.
And this is a big step from where they were even like a year ago. Like SLS Online just came out less than a year ago. So, and it keeps evolving. I'm sorry, I think my hat's, I don't know how strong my hat's fighting it is. I only have one bar. It should work though. Give me 1 sec. Let me go in here. I'll try clicking it one more time. Perfect. Okay. Good. I still have my 4 students connected. So we'll go in here. Start the class. Okay. So I have to go into settings and set it so my computer then comes out of the panel. I'm not gonna do that because I don't wanna waste time, but this is the sound that comes with this. So, okay, so I can divide into teams. So I have all my, say I had 20 students, right? We only have 4 for today, but if I had 20 students, I could divide into teams. I'm just gonna do 2 teams. And so, okay, Tiffany and Don don't really get along. So I'm gonna move Don over here and Amy over here. Or I'm gonna do Joe and Tiffany and then Amy and Don, okay? I really like that, how you can switch the teams up very easily without it having to be this huge ordeal, because in kindergarten and first grade, I had to do that all the time, and back in the day, it was a huge hassle. So it's the crate critters and the heat waivers. So it's gonna prompt you to, on your devices, to respond to my questions. And don't judge them, I just did them really fast. Perfect, the crate critters won! Let's review. Okay, 100% of the crate critters got their answers right, 87% of the heat waivers got their answers right. This is a really fun activity for the kids that are competitive or to get them excited to do something different in the classroom. I can go to class review and I can see who got what right as well. And so it shows me 93%, and then I can also scroll down. These are the 4 different ones. Then I can go to my team's scoreboard. You're also able to export the results onto your computer and see it by student as well. Okay, questions on Monster Quiz. Okay, great. We're gonna go back to the last component of the new software I'm going to show you is assessment. So assessment is, we call it response, but it's like a check mark. I picture it as like assessment. You have options to create an assessment with multiple choice, true or false, multiple answer, poll opinion, or short answer. I'm not gonna go through it all because it's very similar to kind of how I just created the last one. But when you're done and the students give their work, at the bottom right hand corner there's a selection through Excel that you can say export results, and you would select that. Would you guys want me to show you that? I don't mind showing you that, I just want to be cautious of your time.
Kind of seems like a Google form, like a Google form.
It would be through Microsoft Excel, it'd be through an Excel spreadsheet.
Google form has that, and then it exports it to Excel
Okay,
too.
yes, it's
Okay.
very similar to that. And then when you would save it, it would list it by student, and then the questions, what they got right or wrong, and their average percentage.
Okay.
It's just so nice because it saves so much time, and then you have everything on a digital platform, and you're not losing anything, and you're not having to use paper, and you're really utilizing the devices that are going into the student hands. So, and you have all these options, and like you can create them, or you can auto-populate them from the activities within Lab, that I just showed you, Lesson Activity Builder. Okay, I'm gonna exit out of here.
Can you put pictures in, like photos of stuff?
Yes, yes, yep, you can also
So
import
just-
images. You could also, that's a great question, in Shout It Out, you know how I had you guys respond with text? You can also have the kiddos or the students respond with an image. So maybe your kindergartners or your first graders can't quite type yet, or they're not quite there, or they can't read or write. They could respond with images as well that maybe they find around the classroom, and then they could send it in through Shout It Out as well. They could respond with an image. I chose text, but you can control what you select for the response. It's a great question. Okay, so that is the new software. And then I'll just pull up Smart Notebook. This is, more the traditional Smart Notebook that you guys are used to seeing on your computer, because you've ever seen SLS online. And I'm just opening it up. I'll open this up in a bit. So I wanted to pull up the Smart software, just the homepage for the notebook. Does this look familiar to you guys or no? Yes? Okay. Because I just don't want to go over stuff that you don't need me to, because I don't want to waste your time. So you're familiar like with what that takes you to? So, okay, so this is, okay, I'll just kind of go over the toolbars as a refresh. So this check mark is response. So remember what I just showed you guys, how you could do multiple choice, true or false, poll opinion, short answer. You could go right here, and if I was signed in, it would take me there, and then I could create an assessment that way as well. So if I wanted to create something at home and save it, and then wirelessly send it, or put it on a USB, you can do it that way as well. And then this is Lab. The little alien is Lesson Activity Builder. And so, kind of what I just showed you, you can also get all of those activities right here as well. So they're all right here when you're in Smart Notebook. This little puzzle piece is an add-on. It's like an accessories. And you can get a lot of math tools in here. The puzzle piece is like math tools, so all your graphing, and then this would take you to GeoGebra, the little shape with the purple dots. And then this would be a lot of your fill effects and stuff for your pages. I'm not gonna go through all this just because I know you guys are probably so familiar with this. And then in here, this is Lesson Activity Builder. And so this is where a lot of your lessons would be. The little paper clip is if you wanted to insert a file that you had saved, you'd go on here, and then it would take you to your computer and you could insert things. And then this is fill effects as well, so you can access them here or over there. And then this little puzzle piece is a little add-on again. And so this is for other icons. Image web search. You could get, it's through clip art, you could do pictures or clip art, and it's powered by Bing. What that means, it's a safe search engine. So when you're searching for pictures and other things, you're not going to get inappropriate pictures that maybe would show up as you're searching through Google. I always say that because when I would show YouTube videos and search for pictures, both of them are powered through Bing, so you're not getting those inappropriate commercials or any of that stuff, which I used to get a lot teaching because I didn't have smart software access. So those are some really nice things. Activity Builder, that's another way you can get to it from up here. Lesson Recorder. So when you're in here, you can record what you're doing, and it will record your voice and your annotations as well. And then Smart Blocks, this would be more for manipulative use for math. You could do addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and use all of these, and it's kind of more like visual blocking.
And the Smart Notebook program you're using now, is that within?
That would be on your driver, so either on your desktop computer or your laptop, and you would go into the actual Smart software. Smart software looks like a little blue icon. I can show
Right,
you.
and then it just displays on this.
Correct, and then when you open up the Smart software, this is like your home page in the software, and this is all the
Right.
features you would see. SLS Online, you access that through a browser, so you'd access that through a Google Chrome browser or the Chromium browser on the panel.
Right now, she's just controlling my laptop right now
Yeah.
because it's plugged in. Before it was unplugged.
And the smart notebook software is on this laptop,
Right.
and that's how I got access to this.
Okay.
And anyone that doesn't have it on their laptop can go to ZenWorks, and you can download it. It's in a folder called Smart
Okay.
Software.
Great. And then, so when I come back up here, then you can also get a GeoGebra this way as well. And then, add a new page, delete a page. So that's just kind of the overall features. I don't really go much into this because a lot of it is the same of what you guys are used to and what you've been using. I just really try to have a huge focus on LSLS online because it's stuff you've never seen before, and it makes your lives easier. And there's a lot of interactive, engaging activities you can use with the students. You know how I showed you to wirelessly share your lessons? Okay, and you used to have to go down here and you used to have to go to a player. You go in the upper left-hand corner, see how it's like panel with device? You go here, and then you would do this. And so you could just, you would download the Notebook Player app from the Apple Store.
Can I add this then too? Because our district devices are managed differently than personal devices are. You don't download that app from the Apple App Store. You email me. I already ordered like 200 copies of the app. Jim will just, deliver it to an iPad. Any device that's a district device, he'll push it to the device that way. So
Okay, so that will already be taken care of. So you'll just go here and the code will be created and you'll select the room. In your notebook software, you'll go to File, Share, the upper left-hand corner. You'll select the room number and the code and it will go. Okay? Okay. Oh, so wallpaper, you can customize your background. And you can choose their pre-created, or you can add your own picture from a USB.
It's like on a computer.
Yeah, but I wanted to show that. Now, whiteboard was the first thing I showed you. You can do all of your writing and erasing, and you have the QR reader in the lower hand corner and have control of the panel. Then player, we go here, here's player. All of the lessons you have, and then if you want to wirelessly share, you would go here, and then let's go back to the home page, go to the browser. Here's the browser, so it takes you to the Chromium browser.
And that'll be on ours? I mean, we won't have to go into settings and.
Or do you have to turn them on?
No.
like she does
So
too?
what you might have to do is,
Yeah.
you might have to go into settings, go to launcher,
Okay.
and you want these selected.
Turned
These
on.
were not
Okay.
selected, so I selected these for you, which makes sense. You're like, I didn't know where to go for that before because they weren't there. So, okay, so let's go back to the home page. So whiteboard, browser, Chromium browser, player, where you would wirelessly share your notebook lessons and where all your lessons will be stored on the panel. And then you can also go into files. And then these are files that you can do. Now, this is if you wanted to do a new whiteboard file and then shut it out. It automatically has shut it out. Remember that shut it out activity I did? So that's there. So as you do lessons, they will kind of, or popular ones you use, they'll auto show up there. Now let's go to apps. You can also download apps. So we have browser, player, whiteboard. You can also search apps. So let's, Adobe. Maybe it's the apps that are provided. Am I still connected to the internet? Yeah, I am. Okay. Let me get a little bit more fact based on that when you're looking to do apps.